What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, 3 days Nate. Yup, it's me again, the Dallas Cowboys TDN man himself, introducing the first ever episode of, I guess we'll call it a podcast, a show, video series, whatever you want to call it, TDN Takes. You know how it be, man. We're going to be talking about the hottest sports topics, more specifically, especially right now, my Dallas Cowboys, as well as my San Antonio Spurs as their season progresses. And we're going to see where this thing goes. Hopefully we can upload this to Spotify and iTunes and SoundCloud, as well as YouTube, and as well as my Instagram, Dallas Cowboys TDN. Let's get that rolling. Anyways, man, the hot topic today, it's Friday. Yesterday, the Dallas Cowboys fell to the Chicago Bears 31-24, and the score is so much closer than the game actually was. I'll tell you, man, for the second week in a row, Dallas came out firing, scoring on the first drive, and I believe what I heard, it was one of the longest drives in the past 15 years. It was 17 plays in about 9 minutes. Almost two-thirds of the first quarter, Dallas had the ball, and they were able to punch it down and score. They looked phenomenal. Zeke was running, Dak was efficient, and they took an early 7-0 lead. And then just like on Thanksgiving, they forgot how to play for the rest of the game. They were struggling to get any type of offense. The linebackers were struggling. They couldn't stop Mitchell Trubisky, who has been notorious for being absolutely terrible. The Bears early in the season were historically one of the worst offenses, and they carved up the Dallas Cowboys. Despite the loss, Dallas still, at this moment in time, sits atop the NFC East at 6-7. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the New York Giants on Monday night, and they could maybe lose. It's a return of Eli Manning, who, the Giants are going to want to go out there. This could potentially be Eli Manning's last game as a New York Giant. You got to believe that the guys are going to go out there and play their hearts out, especially wanting to put a thorn in the side of their arch rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're all going to be Giants fans for this Monday night. But gosh, man, these Cowboys are giving me all kinds of headaches. All kinds of headaches. Zeke, despite the 2 touchdowns, he did all right as far as fantasy points, but he had 19 carries for 80-something yards around there. And if it wasn't for a 31-yard run that he had, he would have averaged no more than 2 yards per carry, and that's just not good enough for all the money that Dallas pays him. He's the highest paid running back in the NFL. He needs to do better. He's, I believe it said 4 or 5 games below 100 yards, and that's unacceptable for a guy who's MVP caliber, who's led the league in rushing twice. He just needs to do better. The offense needs to be more balanced. They look phenomenal whenever the plays were scripted coming out of starting the game, but once you started getting in the field, Chicago knew what they were gonna do. They were stagnant. They couldn't do anything. There's got to be better play calling as far as Kellen Moore and Jason Garrett developing a better game plan, reacting, being able to play for those second and third quarters. They need to be able to play a complete game, whether we fall behind and we can't come back until the very end in garbage time. That's when Dak started getting all his yards. On paper, it looked like good. He was plus 300 yards, touchdown, but second and third quarter, he wasn't doing anything. And if he wants to get that max contract that he's been hoping for, he's got to play full games. So that's just what frustrates me about Dak. And I don't know where we go from here. This thing is, in my heart, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm calling it. The Dallas Cowboys will still win the NFC East. They will still win the NFC East because they only have to win their last 2 games. No matter what the Eagles do, as long as we win our last 2 games against the Eagles and against the Redskins, we will be NFC East champions. Even if we lose to the Rams, we have to win at least 2, one of them being against the Eagles, depending on if they drop one. That's just if they don't lose to the Giants, which they play the Giants twice. Now, we got some Fitz magic last week. Maybe we can get some Eli magic this week. If that happens, Dallas is in even a better position. But for sure, a win at Philly, a win at home against Washington punches the ticket. When that happens, we're likely going to run into San Francisco because they got the Saints coming this week. I don't know if they're going to be able to win the division, and I believe they're going to have to play Seattle again. They got a tough remaining schedule. I can easily see Seattle coming out with that division, which brings that dominant defense, San Francisco, to Jerry's world. It's tough. It'd be tough to say. They will probably destroy us. They will probably mop the floor with us. But I believe Dallas would be able to get that done. If we can go out on the regular season on a high note, beat the Eagles, beat the Redskins, honestly, this game against the Rams almost means nothing. Unless the Eagles lose, then, we'll be in a lot better position. It'd be nice to win, but even if we lose, we're still got a chance. It's just crazy how the NFC East has turned out this year, actually. And I see it. I'm calling it right now. Put it on paper. 3 days, Nate. The Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East despite the hot garbage that we've put on the field the past 3 weeks. It's been insane. We're going to see where it goes from here. We got the Rams next week, who are coming off a dominant win against the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams were struggling there for a while. They got destroyed by Baltimore on national television. They came back and got their mojo back against the Arizona Cardinals. It's just a matter of, can we get this done, man? Last year, it's a rematch from the divisional playoffs last year, and the deciding factors in that game was Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, who held Ezekiel Elliott to under 60 yards rushing, and then C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley. C.J. Anderson's not there anymore, and Todd Gurley is nothing but a shell of himself. So as long as we don't let Todd Gurley run buck wild on us, I think we can hold the Rams to a sustainable amount of offense. Jared Goff, he's been struggling, throughout the season. He's not the same Jared Goff as last year. Sean McVay, people hyped him up. They said he was going to be the next great coach. It hasn't panned out exactly how they thought it was. But despite that, the Rams are still playing for their playoff lives, just like the Bears were last year, and they're going to come out and probably hit us in the mouth. They're coming out with lots of confidence. They see that we've lost 3 in a row. They see that we're down. They could easily beat us, but we could beat them too. This is a win that we really should need, even though it doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day in the NFC East standings. It's going to be big time for us to go into Philly with a win, especially if they lose to the Giants, but chances are they won't. So Philly's going to be coming off a win, so we need to be doing that too. So it's a big game Sunday. I'm gonna say high scoring early. It gets a little chippy towards the end. I'm going to call it 24-21. That's if Maher can make a field goal, of course. So let's see how that ends up. I'm hoping for a Dallas win. We'll get it done. And then we'll go into Philly, win that game. We can go into Washington, win that game, end the season on a 3-game winning streak, go into the playoffs at home against San Francisco. Hey, it's the NFL. Anything's possible. Hey, but this isn't just a Dallas Cowboys show. I'm going to talk a little bit about my San Antonio Spurs. We're coming off the biggest win of the season against the Houston Rockets the other day. It had a bit of controversy. It was on Monday night. Now, my Spurs, I've been a Spurs fan all my life, and I think I'm counting the days on this dynasty, man, but shoot, was it fun? We've been struggling so far. I've never seen us struggle this much, and the fact is the team on paper looks good. The team on paper looks good. We have 2 borderline all-star caliber players with DeMar DeRozan and DeMarcus Aldridge. DeJounte Murray, who could definitely be an all-star in the future. It's just a matter of, can he break out? He's coming off an ACL tear. Derek White is a stud. Bryn Forbes plays his heart out every game. Jakob Poeltl, maybe the most athletic center that the Spurs have had since David Robinson. I mean, think about it, though. Think about it just for a second and get back with me on that one. But, I mean, on paper, they're good, except that all the players are kind of on the same level. So I think that's what Popovich has been having a hard time determining a really good rotation for the Spurs this season, because you have multiple guards. You have Murray, who may have the most potential out of everyone, but like I said, he's coming off the injury. I think it hasn't been made public, but he has a few attitude problems. He's kind of he kind of like wants to be a celebrity, and that's never really something the Spurs have had to deal with. Nothing out of this world drama, but a little bit of drama nonetheless. So that struggles, because I don't know if he's accepted the role of him coming off the bench every once in a while. And then we have a guy like a Derek White, who is a good defensive guard. He's solid. He's very streaky shooter. He'll light it up one game, and one game he can't. You got a guy like Bryn Forbes, who plays hard. He's got a decent shot, but then the same as Derek White, he struggles. He's not consistent sometimes. Lonnie Walker, the star of the game. We'll get to him here in a second. He was the Spurs' first-round draft pick last season. There's a lot of high hopes for him. He's got a lot of raw talent, but he's played virtually no minutes this season. Virtually no minutes. We got a guy like Patty Mills, who's been with the Spurs. He's the longest tenured Spur at the moment. He's the only holdover from the 2014 championship team. He still goes out there and plays hard. I'm trying to think who. I feel like we have like 10 guards on the team. Not to mention Keldon Johnson, who we drafted in the first round, as well as the foreign guy, Luka. I don't know. I forgot his name. It starts with an S. Let me know who he is. I forgot his name. I haven't seen him play at all. I think they've been more contributing to the Austin Spurs, the NBA, the G League. So, yeah, we got 3 rookies. And not even to mention, we also got a Rudy Gay, who can be an explosive offensive player. He's long. As well as DeMarre Carroll, who we brought in for defensive purposes, and the Spurs can't stop a bloody nose at times. So it's just a really hard thing, and I think they're gonna have to find themselves. The NBA season is very long. I think they will find themselves throughout the season, and Pop will be able to develop a consistent rotation that could get them back into the playoffs. As of right now, they are struggling very much. They're struggling a lot. But I think they're just kind of going through the motions right now. Pop's developing that rotation, and I think as the season goes on, they'll get that done and potentially get into the playoffs. The West is so clogged up. Every game matters in the West, especially towards the bottom. So if the Spurs just got to remain consistent and get that done. As far as the Houston game, it was one of the most exciting games. Some people are calling it the game of the year so far. I like it. It was a double overtime thriller. They were down. I think at one point 22 points. I was literally at home getting notifications on my phone, and I saw it was close for about halftime, and all of a sudden they go down 22 points. I was like, oh, these freaking Spurs, man. I'm just getting all these. I get these notifications every day that they're losing, they're getting beat bad, and it's just hurting my good old Tim Duncan heart, man. But yeah, so that happened, and then all of a sudden, I see we're 3 points down. I see Lonnie Walker. He's got 19 points in the fourth quarter. I was like, are you kidding me? I got to go watch this game. So there I go. And I see Lonnie Walker hit a Manu Ginobili-esque shot to tie the game, send the game into overtime. And Jakob Poeltl blocked James Harden on a game-winning shot. We go into double overtime. We go back and forth. There's 3 offensive fouls called in the second overtime against the Rockets that end up winning the game for the San Antonio Spurs. Probably most definitely the biggest win of the season they've had so far, besides maybe against the Clippers. It was a big-time win, an exciting game, but one not without controversy, as you've seen the James Harden dunk that went through the net, came back up. When you see it for the first time, it looks like he misses it, but once it's in slow motion, it most definitely is not. He definitely dunked it, but the refs did not call it a basket. That was with about 7 minutes and 50 seconds left, while the Rockets were still up 14. And the Rockets have been pleading to the NBA. They put in a grievance that the last 7 minutes and 50 seconds should be played whenever the Spurs meet the Rockets again in April, on the last week of the season, and they're just out of their minds at this point. Or they even said that the Rockets should be awarded a win because they lost by 1 point, and that point would win them the game. Look, the point is, you had the opportunity. You had 3 chances to win the game in regulation, in the first overtime, and in the second overtime. James Harden had a potential to win the game each of those times. You blew the 12-point lead. You gave it up. If you're going to decide that on one basket, then, that's your fault. Your fault for the fact that James Harden and Russell Westbrook shot horrendous field goal percentages that day. But, hey, what can you say? If the NBA does something, that's ridiculous. There's nothing we can do. Then every call, every missed referee call should be go back and looked at, and we'll play the last 3 minutes of every game. No. They're crazy. They're crazy. I bet you if they had won, they wouldn't have said anything, right? And they wouldn't have said anything. So, yeah, that's exciting, man. I'm loving it. Hope y'all enjoyed it. We're going to try to do this, every once in a while. Get this thing rolling. TDN Takes. We're going to try to get it nationwide. We're getting it nationwide. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you want me to talk about on the next episode of TDN Takes, the newest podcast for your boy, 3 Days Nate. Hey, we appreciate y'all being here. Be sure to share, comment with me. I'm down to talk sports with everybody, and keep it right here.